folks, it's time for the live quiz again, and today I'm starting on a marathon quest to do quizzes about each letter of the alphabet, and of course that starts with A. A, not too much of a problem. I don't know how I'm going to handle it when it gets to X. There might need to be a certain little bit of leeway every now and then. But of course A has got so many connotations as well, because A is the starting point. A is also, in terms of marks for your schoolwork and your university work, A is meant to be the top, you know. And so there's an awful lot about A. And of course, in terms of religion, you know, people, early Christians said that God was Alpha and Omega. So there's lots and lots of connotations around A. But this is a very simple little quiz, and excuse me if it's not brilliant, because it's just me doing it, and you know, I do my best. I tell you, it's been quite a challenge. All of the questions here are connected with A. Now, some of them, both the question and the answer is an A, begins with an A. Some of them, it's just one or the other. So it's up to you to sort out what's what. And here we go. As normal, I read out the questions, and then when we get to the end of the quiz, I go back and read out the answers. So I hope you enjoy it, and I look forward to lots of happy adventures with the letters of the alphabet. Now, the first section is called Science and Nature, okay? And the first question of this, question 1, is, what is the name of this discovery which prevents pain during operations? So what is the name of this discovery which prevents pain during operations? Is it A, alcohol? Well, has been tried. B, amnesia? Or C, anaesthetics? So that's A, alcohol, B, amnesia, or C, anaesthetics. Okay. Question 2. This type of metal has been widely used to make cooking pots. So what is it? A, aluminium, B, alloy, or C, actinium? So what have some cooking pots been made of? A, aluminium, B, alloy, or C, actinium? Question 3. Now, this is a difficult one. Achatinoidea, excuse my pronunciation, let's try that again. Achatinoidea is the scientific name for which animal? A, antelope, B, tortoise, or C, snail? So what animal is Achatinoidea the scientific name for? Question 4. Alpha Centauri is the name for A, the top Roman legions, B, the nearest star system to Earth, or C, a course about Christianity. Okay, and you know, just have a little think about the general theme of this round to help you with those answers. Question 5. What is the name for the mixture of gases that covers the Earth and enables life? So the mixture of gases that covers our Earth, what's the name for it? A, atmosphere, B, air, or C, acid rain? So A, atmosphere, B, air, or C, acid rain? Okay. Now then we go on to the next round, which is characters in literature. And here the characters themselves begin with an A. Okay. Question 1. This spirit character, who's in one of Shakespeare's plays, shares its name with a font. Now, for all of this section, if you get the name of the character and then if you get the name of the work it's in, so the novel or the play or whatever, then you get 2 points, okay? So this spirit character shares its name with a font, and it's also in one of Shakespeare's plays. And it is either A, Avenir, B, Ariel, or C, Alexandria, sorry. So either A, Avenir, B, Ariel, or C, Alexandria. Which one of those is a spirit character in one of Shakespeare's plays who shares its name with a font? Okay, question 2. This lion in a series of novels by C.S. Lewis is an allegory for God. So what's the name of this lion who's in a series of novels by C.S. Lewis and is an allegory for God? A, Aslan, B, Aman, or C, Alcan? So either A, Aslan, B, Aman, or C, Alcan. Question 3. This woman is the heroine of Jane Austen's last completed novel. Her name is A, Anne Elliot, B, Annabel Bennett, or C, Amy March. A, Anne Elliot, B, Annabel Bennett, or C, Amy March. Okay. Question 4 in the characters in literature. And remember, you can get 2 points per question if you can get the character and the work in which they appeared. This lawyer in Harper Lee's Pulitzer Prize winning novel defends an African-American man charged with rape. Is it A, Amal Clooney, B, Atticus Finch, or C, Alexander Hamilton? So that's A, Amal Clooney, B, Atticus Finch, or C, Alexander Hamilton. And question 5. This boy wrote a secret diary in this novel by Sue Townsend. So a boy who wrote a secret diary in this novel by Sue Townsend. Is it A, J. Alfred Prufrock, B, Adrian Mole, or C, Adam Bede? Is it A, J. Alfred Prufrock, B, Adrian Mole, or C, Adam Bede? And now we get on to the bit that those of you who are regulars, know is my very favourite of all, because of its tendency to go wrong and then to cause embarrassing moments that I have to cover. And I'm just going on to Spotify to get my list of artists. Come on now. See, this is it. I was putting the password in and I had caps lock on. So already there's been something gone wrong. Right, okay then. Here we go. Now remember with this, you get a point for the artist and a point for the song. Okay, now number 1.
Looking out on the morning rain.
Wonderful, this.
I used to feel.
Okay, that was number 1. Number 2. Here we go. Right, you just got a breath of that. Okay, now number 3. I had to skip at that a bit because it gave too much away at the beginning. That was number 3. Number 4. Come on, number 4. Now, I don't think you need very much of that to know what it is. And then I'll just do a little bit more of that one, just for you. There. Those of you who are over a certain age should get that, no trouble. And then at last, number 5. I think that's just absolutely wonderful. Let's just move it along a bit so you can maybe hear the voice a little bit.
I hate to turn up out of the blue and
There, that's it. Those of you who are regulars will know that I'm limited because I can't play more than a certain amount because of copyright reasons. Come on, just be quiet now, that's all I need. Right, okay then, let us go on to the next round. So far, cross fingers, no major problems. Right, the next round is famous A's in history. Okay, question 1. He was married to a British queen, and many places of interest are named after him, including a large concert hall. Was that A, King Alfred, B, Prince Albert, or C, Ethelred the Unready? Aethelred, it's spelt. Aethelred the Unready. So, someone who's married to a British queen. Was it A, King Alfred, B, Prince Albert, or C, Aethelred the Unready? Okay, question 2. She was the second in a series of 6 women linked by one man. So the second in a series of 6 women linked by one man. Was that A, Anne of Cleves, B, Anne of Green Gables, or C, Anne Boleyn? So was that A, Anne of Cleves, B, Anne of Green Gables, or C, Anne Boleyn? Okay. Question 3. She was the first female aviator to fly solo across the Atlantic. Was that A, Amelia Earhart, B, Amy Johnson, or C, Aida da Costa? So A, Amelia Earhart, B, Amy Johnson, or C, Aida da Costa. And that was the first female aviator to fly solo across the Atlantic. 4. He was a legendary British king who it is said will return in times of great trouble. Was it A, Alexander I, B, King Arthur, or C, and apologies here, Angharad ap Rhodri? So that's A, Alexander I, B, King Arthur, or C, Angharad ap Rhodri? Okay. Whew, that's a relief. Right. 5. His aggressive policies were responsible for leading the world into war. And was that A, Adolf Hitler, B, Archduke Ferdinand, or C, Tsar Alexis? Tsar Alexis. Okay, so A, Adolf Hitler, B, Archduke Ferdinand, or C, Tsar Alexis? And right, the last round now is countries. And of course, it's countries that begin with an A. Right, question 1. Formerly part of the USSR, this country has a majority Muslim population. Recently, some of the Euro matches have been played at its capital. So is that A, Azerbaijan, B, Albania, or C, Afghanistan? So you're looking at a country that was formerly part of the USSR. It's majority Muslim and some of the Euro matches were played there. Is it A, Azerbaijan, B, Albania, or C, Afghanistan? Okay, question 2. This country was from 1848 into 1962 an integral part of France. It has a Mediterranean coastline and houses part of the Atlas Mountains. Was that A, Austria, B, Algeria, or C, Andorra? So A, Austria, B, Algeria, or C, Andorra? Okay. Question 3. This country is one of England's most competitive opponents at cricket. Its head of state is Queen Elizabeth, and it is commonly known as Oz. Is that A, Antigua and Barbuda, B, Austria, or C, Australia? So it's one of England's most competitive opponents at cricket. Its head of state is Queen Elizabeth, and it's commonly known as Oz. Is that A, Antigua and Barbuda, B, Austria, or C, Australia? Okay. 4. The official language of this country is Portuguese. More than half of the population are Catholic, with smaller numbers of Protestant churches. Is that A, Argentina, B, Angola, or C, America? So that's the official language of this country is Portuguese, and more than half the population are Catholic. Is it A, Argentina, B, Angola, or C, America? And question 5, last question of the quiz. This country is known for its ski resorts, and it's one of the smallest states in Europe. Is that A, Armenia, B, Archenland, or C, Andorra? So a small country in Europe known for its ski resorts. A, Armenia, B, Archenland, or C, Andorra? And that, my dears, is the end of the quiz. And now we go back to get the answers. And we start off with science and nature. Now this is a section I put in because I feel I should. I'm not great on science and nature, as you probably gathered, but I feel I should kind of put in a bit of a broad mix. So apologies if it's too simple for some and too difficult for others. Same for me, really. Question 1. What is the name of this discovery which prevents pain during operations? Is it A, alcohol, and that actually did used to be used at times, B, amnesia, or C, anaesthetics? And the answer is, of course, C, anaesthetics. And thank goodness we live in an age when, when they were invented and they're used widely, because what would we do without them? Question 2. This type of metal has been widely used for cooking pots. Is it A, aluminium, B, alloy, or C, actinium? Well, the answer is A, aluminium. B, alloy, is simply the name for a mixture of metals. So it's when you mix two metals together to make another substance. And C, actinium, I got from looking up metals on the periodic table. Don't ask me anything more about it, please. Okay. 3. Achatinoidea is the scientific name for which animal? Achatinoidea. Yes, I can't imagine that you would know that. Is it A, antelope, B, tortoise, or C, snail? And the answer is C, snail. Those pesky things that come up and eat all of those lovely vegetables you've been trying to grow. They are Achatinoidea. And damn them. Right, okay. Question 4. Alpha Centauri is the name for A, the top Roman legions, B, the nearest star system to Earth, or C, a course about Christianity? Well, this is a section about science and nature, so you can miss out A because it's not a top Roman legion, and you can miss out C because it's not a course about Christianity. The answer is B, the nearest star system to Earth. It's still many, 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 many billions of light years away. Okay, and then question 5. What is the name for the mixture of gases that covers the Earth and enables life? And was that A, atmosphere, B, air, or C, rain? Now, the actual name for all of the gases that cover the Earth is the atmosphere. The bottom part of this, the bit that kind of covers the you know, the bit that we come in contact with, is colloquially known as the air. So if you've got A, atmosphere, or B, air, both of those are right. C is not right. Acid rain is not the name for the mixture of gases that covers the earth. Okay, so atmosphere or air, both acceptable answers. Right, now then, we go on to characters in literature. This spirit character, who is in one of Shakespeare's plays, shares its name with a font. Now, the answers were Avenir, Arial, or Alexandria. Now, the answer is Arial, B. All of these answers are names of fonts. Avenir and Arial are both sans serif fonts, which means that the letters don't have a little foot on them. And Alexandria is a serif one, so the letters are a bit more fancy. They have a little foot on them. But the answer is B, Arial. And of course, Arial was in Shakespeare's The Tempest. Wonderful, wonderful play. If ever you get the chance to go and see it, do. It's one of Shakespeare's best. Right, question 2. This lion in a series of novels by C.S. Lewis is an allegory for God. A, Aslan, B, Aman, or C, Alcan? And the answer is, of course, A, Aslan. And the series of novels is the Narnia books, and the most famous of those is The Lion, the Witch and the Wardrobe. So anything mentioning Narnia or The Lion, the Witch and the Wardrobe will do. Just out of interest, B, Amman, is the capital of Jordan, and C, Alcan, is the name of an aluminium foil. So just in case you wondered what names they were for. Question 3. This woman is the heroine of Jane Austen's last completed novel. Her name is A, Anne Elliot, B, Annabel Bennett, or C, Amy March. The answer is A, Anne Elliot, and the novel is Persuasion by Jane Austen. Annabel Bennett is a name that I made up, although Bennett is the name of the family in Pride and Prejudice, also by Jane Austen. And Amy March is one of the characters in Little Women by Louisa May Alcott, which is a lovely book. Right. Question 4. This lawyer in Harper Lee's Pulitzer Prize-winning novel defends an African-American man charged with rape. And the answers to that are A, Amal Clooney, B, Atticus Finch, or C, Alexander Hamilton. The answer to that is B, Atticus Finch. Amal Clooney is, of course, a lawyer married to George Clooney, but she's not in the Harper Lee's Pulitzer Prize winning novel, which was To Kill a Mockingbird. And C, Alexander Hamilton, he was also a lawyer and one of America's founding fathers, and he was the base for the musical Hamilton. But again, he's not in To Kill a Mockingbird by Harper Lee. Okay, question 5. This boy wrote a secret diary in this novel by Sue Townsend. And the possible answers were J. Alfred Prufrock, Adrian Mole, or Adam Bede. The answer is B, Adrian Mole, and it was in The Secret Diary of Adrian Mole, aged 13 3/4, by Sue Townsend. J. Alfred Prufrock is in The Love Story of J. Alfred Prufrock by T.S. Eliot, but again, it's not the right answer to this question, unfortunately. And Adam Bede was a medieval monk who wrote things. I can't remember what. Okay, now we get on to the music, and let's struggle again with my laptop. Come on now, let's make sure that we've got the password in properly. Right, and these were some lovely ones, these ones. Right, okay, number 1.
So tired. Before the day I met you, life was so unkind.
And that is You Make Me Feel Like a Natural Woman. I mean, the actual title is A Natural Woman, but You Make Me Feel Like a Natural Woman. and it was sung by the wonderful Aretha Franklin. So give yourself 2 points if you got both of those. Okay, now question 2. Let's play her. And that is One Last Time by Ariana Grande. And so give yourself 1 point each if you got those two. Now this one, number 3, for those who like a bit of the classical. Come on. And that is Con te partirò by Andrea Bocelli. Con te partirò by Andrea Bocelli. Right, now number 4. And that, of course, is ABBA. Who else could it be? And it's One of Us. ABBA. That's a great band for a quiz about A's, isn't it? It's got 2 A's and 2 B's if I wanted to kind of use them again next time. Right, now then, on to one of my very favourite singers.
Settle down that you found a girl in your...
And that is the incomparable Adele and Someone Like You. Adele and Someone Like You. And phew, that's got through the music round without any obvious major problems. Right, so now we come on to the last 2 rounds of the quiz. And we go on to famous A's in history. Okay, question 1. He was married to a British queen, and many places of interest are named after him, including a large concert hall. Was it A, King Alfred, B, Prince Albert, or C, Aethelred the Unready? And the answer is, of course, B, Prince Albert. And he's got all sorts of things named after him, including the Albert Hall. He was married to Queen Victoria, and he was very, very active, had many kind of projects to improve the running of the country, and was honoured by his grieving wife in terms of many memorials and other things. So the answer to that was Prince Albert. Question 2. She was the second in a series of 6 women linked by one man. A, Anne of Cleves, B, Anne of Green Gables, or C, Anne Boleyn? And the answer to that is C, Anne Boleyn. Now, you know, every now and then I pop in the odd kind of googly, really, in terms of answers. Anne of Green Gables is, of course, the name of a novel. So that's not the answer. Anne of Cleves, possible answer. She was in the same series of 6 women that were linked by the same man. But the right answer for the second in that series is Anne Boleyn. And of course it's the 6 wives of Henry VIII, and Anne Boleyn was the second of those 6. Question 3. She was the first female aviator to fly solo across the Atlantic. Was that A, Amelia Earhart, B, Amy Johnson, or C, Aida da Costa? The answer is A, Amelia Earhart. All the other 2 are female aviators, but Amy Johnson was the first female to fly solo to Australia, while the question was, of course, the first to fly solo across the Atlantic. And Aida da Costa, who I'd never heard of before, she was the first woman to fly a powered aircraft solo. So that was pretty brave. And I believe she must have come down to earth again safely, because she holds that record. And yes, anyway. Okay, question 4. He was a legendary British king who, it is said, will return in times of great trouble. A. Alexander I, B. King Arthur, or C. Angharad ap Rhodri. Well, the answer is B. King Arthur. The other two, Alexander I is a Scottish king, and C. Angharad ap Rhodri is a Welsh king. King Arthur, well, he kind of seemed to span across the whole of the British Isles in terms of legends. And one of those pervasive legends is that when times are really tough, he will come back. He hasn't done so far, it has to be said. Question 5. His aggressive policies were responsible for leading the world into war. Was that A. Adolf Hitler, B. Archduke Ferdinand, or C. Tsar Alexis of Russia? Well, the answer, of course, was A. Adolf Hitler. B. Archduke Ferdinand, he was the one who was assassinated in Sarajevo, and that kind of led to a chain of events that set off the First World War. But he wasn't responsible for leading the world into war. And Tsar Alexis of Russia, well, I was just looking for another kind of powerful man who began with an A. So I don't really know whether he was responsible for anything like that, but certainly not for leading the world into a war. Okay, now on to the last round. Countries. Okay. Formerly part of the USSR, this country has a majority Muslim population. Recently, some of the Euro matches have been played at its capital. And is that A. Azerbaijan, B. Albania, or C. Afghanistan? And the answer to that is A. Azerbaijan. It has a majority Muslim population. It was part of the USSR back in the days of the USSR. And some of the Euro matches were played at Baku, its capital. Albania, that also has many Muslims in its population, and it was a communist state, but it was never part of the USSR. And Afghanistan, well, it was never part of the USSR, and none of the Euro matches could possibly be played there because it's not in Europe. Okay, right. Question 2. This country was, from 1846 into 1962, an integral part of France. It has a Mediterranean coastline and houses part of the Atlas Mountains. With that, A. Austria, B. Algeria, or C. Andorra? And the answer is B. Algeria. And for all those years, Algeria was treated as being part of France, just like we might say treat Cornwall as being part of England. It was that closer relationship, although the population themselves didn't necessarily welcome that. It has a Mediterranean coastline, and of course some of the Atlas Mountains are in the Algerian landmass. Okay, question 3. This country is one of England's most competitive opponents at cricket. Its head of state is Queen Elizabeth, and it is commonly known as Oz. And the answer to that, the possible answers are Antigua and Barbuda, Austria, or Australia. And the answer to that is, of course, Australia, otherwise known as Oz. Right, question 4. The official language of this country is Portuguese. More than half of the population are Catholic, with smaller numbers of Protestant churches. And the possible answers were A. Argentina, B. Angola, or C. America. And the answer to that is B. Angola. Okay. Question number C, America, is obviously, not even a possible, because America is a name actually for 2 continents. It's not a name for a country. Right, question 5. This country, known for its ski resorts, is one of the smallest states in Europe. And is that A. Armenia, B. Archenland, or C. Andorra? And the answer to that is C, Andorra. And again, I put in a little bit of a kind of bit of a crazy one in B, Archenland. There isn't actually a country called Archenland except in fiction. Archenland is part of the Narnia books. It's in the Narnia books, and it's a mountainous country to the south of Narnia, and it features in the novel The Horse and His Boy. So that's Archenland. Okay, so that's the quiz for today. I hope you enjoyed it, and I will be moving slowly but steadily through the alphabet over the next few months. So look out for the next quiz, which will be for the letter B. Now let me think. Babies? Well, maybe. I hope you have a lovely weekend, and see you all very soon. Let me just finish.